This PowerPoint is on the clinical evaluation of language fundamentals by Alayna,
Hannah,
Kylee,
and Monica.
CELF stands for Clinical Evaluations of Language and Fundamentals and is designed to determine language and communication. CELF 5 is the most recent revision of the test, however, 3 and 4 are still available for purchase. For this presentation, we will be specifically focusing on CELF 5.
As an added side note, we also wanted to mention that the goal of these revisions were to refine the scope and content to respond to current trends in education and research, to make the test easier to administer and interpret for both clinicians and their patients, and to maximize applicability for a diverse range of students. This helps out overall both clinicians administering the test and the patients as they are being given the test.
CELF 5 was created by some of the most distinguished and qualified individuals in the language and comprehension field. Eleanor Semmel has a doctorate of education and is an honored professor emerita at Boston University. Elizabeth Wigg has a PhD that focuses on analysis of language learning and communication status of individuals. Wayne A. Secord has his bachelor's and master's in speech and hearing science and a PhD in communication disorder and science. He is currently a senior research scientist in speech-language pathology at OSU.
Because there were several professionals connected to different universities who collaborated with Pearson to create the CELF, there is no single university that can be named as the place where it was developed.
The developers of the CELF test is a highly accredited company called Pearson. Along with the CELF, Pearson has created a vast number of other successful language and comprehension tests. The company specifically established 13 clinics that are dedicated to assessment of language with over 700 employees who have no less than a master's degree. All necessary material for administration of CELF 5 can be purchased online. The prices vary from $692 for the basic digital kit to $955 for the complete kit and screening test.
Overall purposes of the CELF 5 are to examine a student's comprehension and use of the basic foundations of content and form that characterize mature language use. Content and form refers to word meanings, which is categorized under semantics, word and sentence structure, which would be morphology and syntax, as well as the recall and retrieval of spoken language, which is memory. So the CELF was designed for clinicians to assess a student's language and communication skills in a variety of contexts, which was previously described as semantics, morphology, syntax, and memory. This leads to determine the presence of a language disorder and describe the nature of the language disorder and then plan for intervention and treatment. And then the population is for students ages 5 to 21 years.
Administering the CELF 5. Based on the reasons for testing, the clinician will determine what portions of the test need to be administered. We will show a picture of these different portions on the next slide. Before each assessment category, the proctor will complete 3 demo trials with the student to ensure they understand how to execute the test components. This is a key step in the administration of the test because whether or not the child understands the directions can have a major impact on the test outcomes. You will hear an example of this during our demonstration. Next, the proctor will introduce the test items by saying, "Now let's do some more. Listen carefully to what I say. Ready?" As mentioned previously, the test is broken down into 15 subsets. These are all listed. It is common to break up the administration over the test over several sessions because of its length. It is also common for professionals to choose only 5 of the 15 categories to test for the same reason. Each of the test components contain visual stimuli used in different ways to elicit answers from the individual.
So is the CELF 5 normed for people with hearing loss. Unfortunately, it is not. The test is based on a normative population that does not include individuals who have hearing loss, who are hard of hearing or deaf. So in order to account for this, we would need to use compensatory strategies. Some of these include making sure the patient is wearing their assistive hearing devices, sitting an appropriate distance away from the patient while administering the test, and making sure you maintain a consistent volume with your voice. These strategies can allow for the test to be administered to people who are hearing impaired. We will now be showing you a video demonstration of a clinician administering the word recognition subtest of the CELF 5. Our patient is 8 years old.
Hi Hannah, how are you doing?
Good.
You ready to get started?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to say some words and show you some pictures. 2 of the words go together. Look and listen as I say the words. Puppy, frog, dog. Puppy and dog are the 2 words that go together best. Right. Now let's do it again. 2 of these words go together. Look and listen carefully to the words I say, then tell me the 2 words that go together. Milk, apple, banana.
Apple and banana.
Great, Hannah. Let's do some more. Remember, tell me the 2 that go together best. Cat, whiskers, nest. Listen carefully to the words. Cat, whiskers, nest.
Nest and cat.
The 2 of them that go together are cat and whiskers. Yeah, you're doing a great job. Now let's do some more. Remember, tell me the words that go together. Cat, cow, kitten.
Kitten and cat.
Great job, Hannah. For the scoring of our demonstration, the photo below was shown for the demo. Similar pictures would have been shown for the rest of the trials as well as the actual scored portion of the test. As you can see, we correctly identified cat and kitten as the 2 members of one category, and to the right it shows the score as 1 for both of them being correct and 0 for none of them being wrong. Down below are the word class item analysis. So after the speech pathologist takes the data, they would have categorized it in this way, and that would have shown whether the person had a delay in this area. The process of scoring that the clinician would use includes tracking the individual score throughout the assessment. It also includes totaling the scores to determine the scaled score, distance from the mean, and percentile rank. These scores are used to determine if there is a disorder and describe the severity of the disorder, as we saw in our last example. However, the previous example only showed the scoring for word classes. If you're going to do the overall scoring, it would look something like the image on the right. We took this example from an actual case study and inputted the accurate information. So based on these scores that the clinician filled out, including test scaled scores, core language scores, index, and discrepancy comparisons, one could find the percentile rank that the individual scored on. And at the bottom here, where it says statistically significant level, the clinician would then determine whether or not this could be classified as a disorder. For our final thoughts, the CELF is a valuable tool for professionals working with individuals with language disorders. This is due to the test's diverse diagnostic capabilities.